But I wanted to point this out really quick because this was some of the most weirdest, feminist, nasty agenda I've ever seen put on ESPN.
Did ESPN try to hide something? Newly surfaced deleted footage reveals Elle Duncan's striking reaction to Caitlin Clark turning down the NBA three-point contest, and it's even more intense than people expected. Although ESPN quickly removed Duncan's controversial comments from their YouTube channel, the original clip has now emerged, shedding light on what really happened.
If you all don't know, there is a silent, kind of behind-the-scenes war going on with new people covering the WNBA and old people covering the WNBA. And, you know, a lot of the old WNBA people don't want the new people to be covering the WNBA, right? And going into this, I would definitely say Elle Duncan is a part of the old WNBA coverage team.
The tension between traditional media coverage and newer perspectives around the WNBA appears to be reaching a boiling point. Elle Duncan's comments regarding Caitlin Clark's decision have become one of the most divisive talking points of the year. Now the situation is raising fresh questions about what ESPN may be trying to control or avoid putting in the spotlight.
Elle Duncan comes in with her disturbing, nasty take of this whole thing, basically trying to make Caitlin Clark's decision a nasty feminist FU to the NBA. It's ridiculous.
The WNBA conversation is trending heavily right now, and a recent moment on ESPN's First Take has added even more fuel to the discussion. The segment focused on Caitlin Clark declining an invitation to participate in the NBA three-point contest, which at first appeared to be a standard sports debate topic. However, after the clip was uploaded to YouTube, viewers noticed that part of the footage was later removed or was no longer available in the posted version. That missing portion included comments from Elle Duncan. The situation has since sparked wider debate about how women's basketball is covered in the media and whether there are differing perspectives shaping the conversation around these high-profile WNBA-related discussions.
Just stick with me. This is the original content posted on YouTube. Just stick with me.
Games, and I've seen a lot of games, women's basketball games,
and they competed.
Arike Ogunbowale got MVP. She had a crazy second half. Everyone competed. People are starting to appreciate the women's game for that approach because we understand what's at stake in this moment. And for Caitlin Clark to have the awareness to drive the eyeballs there, you have to give her so much credit for that.
Okay, you saw how it skipped right there? That is where Elle Duncan came in with her crazy, asinine state.
The segment begins in a fairly standard way, with Stephen A. Smith and Chiny Aguamike discussing Caitlin Clark's decision. Aguamike's analysis is presented as thoughtful and balanced. She highlights how competitive last year's WNBA All-Star Game was, points to the high skill level in women's basketball, and communicates her view in a way that supports the sport without creating conflict or controversy. The focus then shifts to Elle Duncan's portion of the discussion, which is described as the segment that allegedly drew attention and was later removed from the online upload. The speaker claims to have obtained the original broadcast footage and suggests that Duncan's commentary has been interpreted by some viewers as strongly ideological and potentially misaligned with the situation being discussed. This is presented as part of a broader debate that the narrator believes has become more controversial than the original sports topic itself.
Caitlin Clark, to have the awareness to drive the eyeballs there, you have to give her so much credit for that.
The reason why is because these women know that every opportunity they have on this platform, they have to ball out because they have to completely turn around tropes or ideas or narratives or discourse. Like all of that is always on their shoulders, which is why not only do I think that this move by Caitlin Clark is the right move, I think it's incredibly impactful.
Elle Duncan continues speaking at length, without holding back. It comes across as more than just standard sports commentary. The tone feels increasingly personal, and the narrator interprets it as strong resentment rather than neutral reporting. Let's jump back into the segment.
Stephen A, when we watched that three-point contest last year in the NBA, and we all enjoyed it, and it was so much fun, what did immediately those of us in the W space say? all right, Steph, now return the favor and go do the same thing at the W, right? In years past, for generations past, women had to legitimize being mainstream by being validated in a male.
This is really something. What do you think about what's been said so far? Share your thoughts in the comments below. Now, let's move on.
And now Caitlin Clark is saying that my power and cachet is not for loan. I am going to go and improve the league that I believe in and care in. And the idea that she said, I'm going to make sure the first 3-point contest I participate in will be the W one. She didn't do it last year. Lord knows she was tired and didn't want to, right? Like it took everything she had just to get through that game, and she was fantastic. But I love this, and what I hope it does, listen, Caitlin Clark is a one-of-one in many ways, and we understand that. So not everybody has that ability, that cachet and all that clout to move the needle, to draw those kinds of ratings. But what I hope that it does is empower the next generation. The Paige Beckers, the Juju Watkins behind.
In Duncan's commentary, the discussion is portrayed as taking a more contentious direction, as she is said to suggest that emerging stars like Juju Watkins and Hailey Van Lith should follow Caitlin Clark's example by avoiding participation in certain mainstream, male-dominated events. This is presented as the point where the argument becomes more heated, with the narrator interpreting it as pushing a more divided approach to basketball coverage. From this perspective, it is framed as encouraging separation rather than unity in the sport, when the focus, according to the narrator, should instead be on bringing the game together and supporting collaboration across all levels.
I'm so tired of it. It just makes no sense to me, and I'm tired that we keep giving it so much energy, and I'm tired of it being people who are not in this circle or space at all who suddenly have all these opinions about how these women need to treat Caitlin Clark. What do you want from them? They want to beat her because she's not on their team. Isn't that how it's supposed to be? Y'all stop it. We already know she's transformational. They've all said it. How many times do they got it?
This viewpoint can be challenged on several grounds. First, the NBA and WNBA operate in a cooperative relationship. The NBA contributes financial support, organizational structure, and promotional backing that helps strengthen and expand women's basketball. With Adam Silver often publicly supporting the growth of the WNBA, framing this partnership as a conflict between genders may be misleading and could even undermine the progress of the league itself. For example, when Sabrina Ionescu competed in the NBA three-point contest, the impact extended beyond the NBA event itself. It helped generate attention for the WNBA, increased interest in the New York Liberty, boosted merchandise sales, and raised the visibility of women's basketball overall. However, the narrator argues that in some interpretations, this kind of participation is portrayed as seeking validation from the men's game. From that perspective, the criticism overlooks the long history of WNBA athletes who built their careers and achievements entirely within women's basketball. The argument continues that suggesting male validation is necessary for legitimacy is a contested and divisive claim within the broader discussion of the sport. Duncan's commentary is portrayed as taking a more controversial direction, suggesting that rising talents like Juju Watkins and Hailey Van Lith should follow Caitlin Clark's example by avoiding participation in certain mainstream, male-focused events. The narrator argues that this line of thinking escalates the issue further, framing it as a push towards separation rather than unity in basketball. From this perspective, the concern is